Well, dearest diary, I fear I've made a right fool of myself once more, and I am uncertain whether my own opinion of myself shall ever recover, let alone the tons of view of me. But who cares one whit about what the gossiping mamas will say about me, if I cannot secure the good opinion of the one person whose trust and admiration are the single object of my desire. It is enough to drive one to distraction and malcontent, diary. I suppose if I am ever to feel any better, I must begin at the beginning and recount the whole affair and my foolish part in it from there. It began, as it ever does, with a book and a scandalous ideology that a young lady such as myself was not meant to be entertaining. My mama had asserted that if I were to be spending my hours with my nose pressed in a book, the least I could do is read a romance. Of course, when I suggested that no one was more romantic than Lord Byron in his passionate poetry, she tutted at me in her way and beseeched that I spend my coins on Austen or something equally genteel. And while the admiration I hold for Jane Austen is both great and true, how else should I feel about a woman daring to choose a profession for herself and uttering a whole cascade of words whose poetic quality do not unfairly besmirch other members of our sex? Reading of the noble courtship I seek to escape through my journeys within the page would feel self-defeating. And so it was, with this disagreeable feeling, I found myself in the bookseller's, little old Mr. Evely, nodding familiarly at me and Anna ever at my heels as the bell tinkled above the door, completely unaware that my life was about to be utterly and entirely changed. I was lulled into a false sense of ease, unknowing of how my fate would befall me, all because of the comforting perfume of paper and ink around me. Then, dear diary, it happened. My hand reached for one of M. Shelley's Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, and met not the spine of that tome, but another lacy-gloved hand. We were both startled in that moment, too taken with the solemn atmosphere of the shop to realize each other, until that touch electrified us each. I should think I will never forget the first sight I had of her deep brown eyes, dear diary. It seemed that they were as deep as the ages, older than any tale either of us might ever rate, and possessed of a light that could rival even the North Star. We both apologized, obviously, as proper young ladies are meant to, but only after too long a pause, stunned into silence and staring. It was only Anna's polite cough behind me that broke our shared astonishment, her lady's maid equally as quietly dismayed behind her, and we tripped over each other to make our apologies. I quickly discovered not just her name, but her provenance. Ilona Levitt, lately of Paris, France, and cousin of the Levitts, known to the ton. She told me with most haste that she was meant to be spending the season here in London, and I did not think at the time that I should wonder why she was not spending her season out in her hometown. Too breathless was I at the thought I might have a companion and friend in literary pursuits here finally. We chattered excitedly as chickadees, discussing our favorite philosophers and poets, English, French, and even a bit of Latin pouring from our lips as though we were at a Greek symposium rather than a dusty but beloved bookshop, barely patient ladies' maids exchanging glances behind us. She is rather taken with Locke at the moment, although she admits that she finds Samuel Coleridge to be the more charming object of her English studies, presently, and to be more palatable to her mother and aunt than strict philosophy in any case. However, most scandalously, she tells me in rapid German that neither poor Anna nor Manon happen to speak, that she has managed to scroll her way for herself a bit of Kant. that she has been slowly digesting like a rodent, seeking out their hidden autumn prizes beneath the no longer winter soil. I cheerfully asked after which French auteurs are in fashion at the court in Paris, but Ilona was more interested in reciting bits and pieces of Shelley to me in that instance, stating that the darkness of the novel reminds her of Coleridge and Wordsworth's stormier notions in the best way, but goes far deeper than they. She is mesmerizing in her excitement, dear diary, and it is a balm to my heart to know there is another soul out there that might delight in the light of language, of poetry, of the narrative tale and reference as I. It is my ardent and heart-wrenching hope that I might be worthy of experiencing that spellbinding state with her again one day. I truly could have stayed in that moment for eons, dear diary. I felt the whole of history behind and the vastness of an untold future before us in that moment. A meeting of unacquainted yet inherently familiar minds for the first time. My life has seldom offered me such opportunities before, and I despair to think I will receive any hence after what has transpired. However, even in that small note of eternity has come to an end. Ninon, Ilona's maid, breaking the spell by reminding my newfound point of fascination of her aunt's appointment at a modiste, and the expectation that she not merely be present, but punctual. Ilona made her apologies and left me with the recommendation that Shelley's novel was one of her favorites, and that she missed her copy back at home quite dearly. If there was any chance of me leaving that shop with any text other than this, I would not have placed any money on that steed due to its vast unlikelihood. For, as the novelist writes already, there is something at work in my soul which I do not understand. And somehow I believe that something was unlocked within me by those eyes as dark as the past, and whose spark inspired nothing but a terrible, desperate hope in me. I hope that one might have found someone who understands them. Two halves of a whip-fast conversation that twists its way through language, topic, and time itself. I was practically breathless, dear diary, as I left Mr. Evely's shop, Frankenstein clutched, unread and unknowing, to my lace-covered and rapidly beating breast. And I am uncertain if I have ever truly caught that breath again since. Perhaps it will be that lack of air that is my end, dear diary, unless my own actions have been my end in feeling, if not in heart beating.